Arsenal are heading to Lisbon with half a squad and a manager who trains his players with pens. Here is everything you need to know. Let us be honest with you right from the start. Arsenal are going into one of the biggest games of their season, short-handed, a little bruised, and with questions flying at them from every direction. They are in Lisbon right now. They are preparing to face Sporting CP in the first leg of the Champions League quarter-final, and they are doing all of this without some of the most important players on their team. Sounds stressful, it is, but here is the thing about this Arsenal side under Mikel Arteta. They have been in tight spots before, and somehow they keep finding a way. So if you are part of the Olivia Sports Arsenal community and you want to know exactly what is going on ahead of this massive European night, you are in the right place. We are going to break everything down for you in a simple, easy way. The injuries, the squad, the weird pen training video that the whole internet is talking about, the historical challenge ahead, and why this game matters so much more than just 3 points. Grab your tea, let us get into it. The injury list is long, and that is not good news. Every Arsenal fan knows this feeling by now. You open your phone, check the team news, and your heart sinks just a little. The injury list keeps growing, and it feels like every week there is a new name being added to it. For the Sporting CP first leg, things are not great. Let us go through who is missing and what happened to them. Bukayo Saka is not in Lisbon. Let that sink in for a second. Bukayo Saka, arguably Arsenal's most important attacking player, did not travel with the squad to Portugal. Arteta confirmed this during his press conference. The manager said that both Saka and Jurrien Timber are having trouble and are not ready yet. He was hopeful they might be available for the weekend Premier League game against Bournemouth if things go well, but for Tuesday night in Lisbon, they are both absent. That is a huge blow. You cannot talk about Arsenal without talking about Saka. He creates chances, he scores goals, he draws fouls, he changes games. Not having him available in a Champions League quarter-final is a real problem. Jurrien Timber is also out. The Dutch defender has had a difficult time staying fit since joining Arsenal, and his absence again is a frustrating update for everyone connected to the club. Then there is Eberechi Eze. Now here is a story with a little more hope attached to it, but not enough to help in Lisbon. Eze picked up a calf problem during the Champions League last 16 win over Bayer Leverkusen last month. That was actually a brilliant game for him because he scored in it. But the injury he picked up that night meant he missed the Carabao Cup final defeat to Manchester City and also missed England 2 international friendlies against Uruguay and Japan during their international break. There was some chatter on Monday that Eze might be close to returning to training, but he was not spotted in Arsenal open training session, and Arsenal official website confirmed he remains sidelined. So no Eze either. Piero Hincapié is also out. The versatile defender who joined in January has not been able to make the impact many were hoping for yet, and he remains unavailable. And Mikel Merino, the Spanish midfielder who was brought in to add quality and depth in the middle of the park, is also missing. Merino has had a frustrating run with injuries since arriving, and this is just the latest setback. 5 players, 5 important established squad members, all absent for one of the biggest European nights of the season. That is a genuinely difficult situation to be in. Do you think Arsenal can still get a positive result against Sporting without these players, or is the injury list just too long? Who did travel? The squad Arteta has to work with, right? So 5 players are out, but there is still a squad that made the trip to Lisbon. And honestly, when you look at the names, it is not all doom and gloom. There is still quality there. Arsenal flew out from Luton Airport on Monday afternoon. About 20 players were photographed at the airport, giving a pretty clear picture of what the squad looks like for this tie. In goal, Arsenal have 3 options. David Raya, the first choice keeper, is there. He actually spoke to the media in Lisbon on Monday evening. Behind him is Kepa Arrizabalaga, the experienced Spanish keeper who joined on loan, and young goalkeeper Kari Ranson. In defence, William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes are both confirmed available and travelling. That is huge. These two have been one of the best centre-back partnerships in Europe this season, and having them both fit is a genuine silver lining. Arteta specifically confirmed that Gabriel is available. Also in the defensive group are Ben White, Ricardo Calafiori, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Christian Mosquera, and young prospect Marley Salmon. In midfield, there is a really important piece of good news. Declan Rice is back. Arteta confirmed that Rice is available after his recent injury problems. Rice is the engine of this Arsenal team. He runs, he fights, he dictates, he wins the ball back, Having him available makes Arsenal a completely different team in the middle of the pitch. Alongside him are Martin Zubimendi and Martin Odegaard, the captain. Young talent Max Dalman has also made the trip, which says something about how highly regarded he is at the club. And then in attack, Arsenal have Leandro Trossard, who Arteta confirmed is fit. There is also Gabriel Jesus, Noni Madueke, who has been dealing with some wrist and knee issues but still made the trip, and teenager Andre Harriman and Noes. And then there is the headline act, Viktor Gyokeres, the Swedish striker who joined Arsenal and is now preparing to face Sporting CP, the club he left to move to the Emirates. Imagine that. Walking back into the Jose Alvalade Stadium, the place where he became one of the most feared strikers in European football, now wearing red and white instead of green and white. If that does not get your attention, nothing will. Arteta also mentioned that Gabriel Martinelli and Kai Havertz were not pictured at the airport, but both trained on Monday and should have been on the plane with the group, so they are likely available too. Which player in the Arsenal squad do you think will step up the most and make the biggest impact with Saka missing? The viral video everyone is talking about. Okay, so we need to talk about the pens. Last week, footage started circulating from Arsenal training ground in London, and when people watched it, a lot of them were confused, genuinely baffled. The video showed Arsenal players doing a possession drill, dribbling, keeping the ball moving, normal stuff, except each player was also holding a pen between their fingers while doing it, like actually gripping a pen with their fingertips while playing football. The video went viral almost immediately. People on social media were posting it everywhere. Some fans were laughing. Others were trying to figure out what on earth the point of it was. Football analysts were guessing. Everyone had a theory, and then Arteta was asked about it. Now, if you know Mikel Arteta, you know this man is not your typical football manager. He does not just run laps and work on set pieces and call it a day. He is always thinking about the psychological side of football. He believes deeply that the way players think under pressure is just as important as what they can do with the ball. Sometimes more important. He has done wild things before. There was the time he used light bulbs as part of a team talk. There was the time he brought in professional pickpockets to make a point to his squad about awareness and being alert. These are not things most managers do, but Arteta is not most managers. When asked about the pen drill, the manager was not going to give everything away. He said, instead of panic, understand if that happens, why it happened, and bring clarity. He talked about living in the present and delivering every single day. He talked about the standards they set and the commitments they have made to each other. He said training sessions need to have different elements, and those elements need to be connected to the messages the team send each other and the promises they have made. And when someone pushed him specifically on what the pens meant, he gave the best answer possible. He said that stays in the dressing room. Classic Arteta. You can interpret the pen drill in all kinds of ways. Maybe it is about focus, keeping a steady hand under pressure while still moving and doing your job. Maybe it is about precision, the idea that even small things matter, that details count. Maybe it is about trust, about handling something delicate while still performing. Nobody outside that dressing room knows for certain. But here is what we do know. Arsenal are going through a difficult moment in their season. They lost the Carabao Cup final to Manchester City. They went out of the FA Cup. They are dealing with injuries to key players, and their manager is using every tool he has, every exercise, every metaphor, every unusual idea to keep his players mentally locked in and focused on what matters. Whether you find the pen thing funny or fascinating or completely bizarre, there is a logic to it. Arteta is trying to keep his players sharp in the head, not just in the legs. What do you think the pens represent? We would love to hear your theory in the comments. The history is not on Arsenal's side in Portugal. Let us get to the part of this story that every Arsenal fan probably does not want to spend too long thinking about, the historical record. Arsenal have never won away against Portuguese opposition in a European knockout tie. Never. That is not a made-up statistic. That is the record. They have drawn 4 times and lost twice. The most recent loss came just last season when Arsenal travelled to FC Porto in 2024 and lost 1-0. Now, before you panic, remember that records exist to be broken. And also remember that Arsenal have never been this version of themselves before. They have never had Viktor Gyokeres leading the line. They have never had Martin Odegaard in the form he has been in over recent seasons. The squad is different, the manager is different, the expectations are different, but facts are facts. Sporting CP are a serious team at home this season. They have won all 5 of their home Champions League games this campaign, 5 out of 5. That is not a team that is easy to go to and get something against. Sporting play in the Jose Alvalade Stadium in Lisbon. It is a proper European football atmosphere on European nights. The crowd gets behind the team, the stadium is loud, and the players feed off that energy. Arsenal are going to have to be disciplined, smart and brave to get a result there. Think about what Gyökeres must be feeling walking into that stadium. He spent time at Sporting and absolutely lit up the Portuguese league before Arsenal came calling. His former teammates will be there. The fans who used to chant his name will now be the ones trying to stop him. It is the kind of storyline that writes itself, and you just know that if he scores, the celebration is going to be something to see. But Arsenal need more than just Gyökeres. They need the whole team to perform. Without Saka stretching the defence down the right side, Arteta is going to have to find a different way to create space and chances. That is where tactical intelligence matters. That is where the prep work this week becomes really important. And maybe, just maybe, that is where the mental sharpness from those unusual training drills actually makes a difference. Do you think Arsenal can go to Lisbon and get a result without Saka? What do you think the first leg score will be? The bigger picture is huge. Here is something that makes this European campaign feel even heavier. Arsenal are not just in the Champions League quarterfinals for the glory of it. This is part of a much bigger story happening right now at the club. In the Premier League, Arsenal are sitting at the top of the table, 9 points clear. They have a genuine chance of winning the league this season. But the games are coming thick and fast, and the decisions Arteta makes over the next few weeks could define the whole season. After the Sporting first leg on Tuesday, Arsenal come back to the Premier League to host Bournemouth on Saturday. That is already a quick turnaround. Then the following week, they host Sporting in the second leg at the Emirates. And then after that, they travel to the Etihad Stadium to face Manchester City in what could be the biggest Premier League game of the entire season. That run of games is enormous. It covers Europe and domestic football at the same time. It puts pressure on the squad, on the manager, on everybody. And it is all happening while Arsenal are missing multiple key players. This is the period that champions are made from. Not the easy games, not the comfortable wins at home against lower half teams. It is moments like this when things are hard, when the schedule is brutal, when the injuries pile up and the pressure is at its peak. How a team responds in these moments is what separates the teams that win things from the teams that finish second. Arteta knows this, his players know this. It is why the pen drills matter. It is why the unusual training methods exist. It is why the manager is obsessed with keeping his team mentally clear and focused even when the circumstances are difficult. Rice being fit is a huge boost for this run of games. Saliba and Gabriel being available gives Arsenal a solid defensive foundation to build from. Odegaard being there means the quality in midfield is still high. And with Gyökeres now available after his international commitments, Arsenal have a genuine goal-scoring threat up front even without Saka. The injuries hurt, there is no pretending otherwise. But this Arsenal team has shown before that they can find ways to win even when things are not perfect. That is actually one of the most encouraging signs about this squad. It is deep enough and smart enough to adapt. If Arsenal get a good result in Lisbon, does that change your confidence about their chances of winning the Premier League title this season? What Gyökeres facing his former club means, we touched on this earlier, but it deserves its own moment because the Viktor Gyokeres angle to this tie is genuinely fascinating. Gyökeres was one of the most talked about strikers in European football before he moved to Arsenal. He joined from Sporting CP where he was absolutely electric. He scored goal after goal in Portugal. He was physical, quick, technically sharp, and had the kind of form that makes every big club in Europe take notice. And Arsenal were the ones who moved for him. Now he is going back to the ground where all of that happened, but he is on the other side. He is wearing the kit of the opposition. The Sporting fans who loved him will now want to see their team stop him. His former teammates will be trying to shut him down. And every single time he touches the ball, the whole stadium is going to react. This is the kind of moment that some players love and some players find hard to handle. The extra attention, the narrative surrounding the game, the noise from the crowd. For a striker who has shown the confidence and character that Gyökeres has, there is every reason to believe he will rise to this occasion rather than shrink from it. If he scores against Sporting, it will not just be 3 points on the board. It will be a statement. It will be a message from him to every club in Europe that the move to Arsenal is going well and that he belongs on the biggest stage. And from Arsenal point of view, having a striker of his quality who knows the ground, knows the players, knows how Sporting like to defend, that is actually a useful thing. He will know where the spaces are. He will know which defenders are vulnerable. He will know the stadium, the pitch, the atmosphere. That knowledge matters. What we want to see from Arsenal in Lisbon, let us end this section with something a little more positive. Because while the injury news is tough and the history in Portugal is not great, there are real reasons to be excited about this game. We want to see Declan Rice dominate the midfield When Rice is playing well, Arsenal look like a completely different team. He gives them protection at the back, energy going forward, and the kind of determination that lifts those around him. After his injury problems, seeing him back and available is one of the best pieces of news this week. We want to see Odegaard pull the strings. The captain has been one of the most creative midfielders in the Premier League this season, and on a big European night, you want your captain to step up and show the way. We want to see Gyökeres announce himself on the European stage for his new club. Every footballer dreams of moments like this, returning to a former club in a Champions League quarter-final and making an impact. If there is one player who can make the perfect statement in this game, it is him. And we want to see the team respond to the challenge, not just physically, but mentally. That is what all those unusual training sessions are about. That is what the pen drill represents, whatever its specific meaning might be. Arteta wants his players to handle pressure with a steady hand. He wants them to keep their nerve when things get difficult. A big away game in a Champions League quarter-final is exactly the kind of moment that tests all of that. Arsenal have a 9-point lead in the Premier League. They are in the last 8 of the Champions League. In spite of the injuries, in spite of the cup exits, this is still a team right at the heart of something special this season. And Tuesday night in Lisbon could be a really important step towards something memorable. The final word from the Olivia Sports Arsenal community. So here is where we land after all of that. Arsenal are missing 5 players, including Bukayo Saka and Jurrien Timber for the first leg in Lisbon. That is genuinely difficult, and it would be wrong to pretend it is not a problem. But the players who are available, Rice, Saliba, Gabriel, Odegaard, Gyökeres, Trossard, these are quality footballers capable of getting a result in any stadium in the world. Arteta is using every tool he has to keep his squad mentally sharp. The pen drill went viral and people laughed and scratched their heads. But behind the unusual exterior, the logic is simple. Keep your players focused, committed and clear-headed when the pressure is at its highest. The historical record in Portugal is bad. 5 games without a win in European knockout ties against Portuguese clubs. But history is only useful up until the moment you change it. Sporting CP have won all 5 of their home Champions League games this season. They are a tough quality team in front of their own fans. This will not be easy, but Arsenal have something this season, a belief, a system, a culture that Arteta has built over years of work. And they have a striker who is going back to a place he knows better than almost anywhere else in European football. This is the Champions League quarter-final. This is what you play the whole season for. This is where reputations are made and seasons are defined. The Olivia Sports Arsenal community has been with this team through everything. The disappointments, the close calls, the brilliant moments and the frustrating ones. This week is another chapter in that story and we want to hear from you. Who do you think starts in Lisbon? What formation should Arteta use without Saka? Do you think Arsenal get a good result in the first leg? And please tell us what you think the pens mean, because if there is one thing this community is brilliant at, it is talking football. And right now there is plenty to talk about. Come on, Arsenal, let us go and do something historic in Lisbon.